Hey, what's up guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Netflix landing page clone with vanilla HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This is the landing page that we are going to build. The demo website link will be on the description, so check that out. So this is the Netflix landing page that we are going to build. And this is the actual Netflix website. So you can see that I've tried to make things as simple as possible. But you cannot have everything 100% accurate. Basically, we have this hero section or the banner section, whatever you say. We have this image that is taking the full height and width of the screen. But in the Netflix landing page, it doesn't take the full height and the width. Actually, it is up to you, but I like the full screen. So on the top, we have this header with a logo and a sign-in button. And then we have some content, some text, and an input form. And if I scroll down, you can see we have this story card section. We have this TV video, this image. Then if I scroll down, we have this FAQ section. If I click on it, it expands the answer. Then on the bottom, finally, we have the footer with some links. And the web page is totally responsive. If I open up the depth tool, and if I shrink the web page, you can see the web page is totally responsive. And if I scroll down, you can see everything is looking pretty good, even on the small screen sizes. Okay, so that's what we're going to build on this video. So if you are interested, please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more of these project-based videos. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me give you a quick introduction of mine. My name is Anjan. I'm a full-stack web developer who can develop complex web applications from UI to backend systems. You can watch my work by visiting my portfolio website thatanjan.me. Then just go to projects. And here you will see all of the projects that I have worked on. I'm looking for a new opportunity in a company where I can provide great value with my skills and knowledge. So if you are a recruiter or someone who wants a new team member who can solve problems, can develop real-world application, feel free to contact me. You can reach out to me by email, LinkedIn, or Twitter. All of the links are going to be in the description just for you. Alright, enough of my introduction. Let's get straight into the tutorial. Alright guys, so I have this basic HTML file set up. I have a reset.css file linked up with my HTML file. I have just imported a font called Montserrat from Google Fonts, and I have resetted the default styles. I have added the font family Montserrat to the body, and also max width to 100 view width and overflow X to hidden so that we don't get any horizontal scrolling. Then we have background to black, and we have made HTML font size to 62.5%. It will make one rem equals to 10 pixels. Then we have made color white. And also we have reset the styles of anchor tag and also the button element. And also inside the index.html file, I have a index.js file linked up, which is totally empty. And also on the right hand side, I have a browser tab. I have opened up the index.html file on a live server so that when we will add some changes to our file, it will refresh our browser. And also we're going to make the web page with mobile first approach. So first of all, we're going to build the top section, which is the hero section or the banner section, whatever you say. So we have the header, we have a logo, and on the right hand side, we have a button for sign in, which will do actually nothing. Then on the middle, we have this text, and also we have a input form for email. And if I click on get started, it gives me this message, thank you for subscribing. Okay, so let's create that. So first I'm going to create the header, this part. So let's add a header tag with the header class. Inside the header we will have two anchor tag. One will be for logo, another one will be for the sign in button. We will have an anchor tag with header logo class. href will be just a pound sign. And inside the anchor tag, we will have an image tag. Source will be /media/netflix.svg. And then we will have another anchor tag with a class of sign in button. And it will also have a primary button class. The text will be sign in. So this is what we have for now. So let's create a header.css file in the CSS directory. And let's just link the header.css file with the HTML. It will be header.css. So first of all, let's select the header class. We need to make the header position absolute so that it floats on top of other elements. So position absolute. Then height will be 10 rem. Width will be 100%. And then top will be 0. Left will be 0. C index will be 15. So now let's select the header logo anchor tag. And let's make display to block. And then make width to 15 rem. And padding to 0 for top and bottom, and 1 rem for left and right. And now let's select the image inside the header logo. Height will be 100% and width will be 100%. Alright, so our Netflix logo is now small, and now we need to separate the two anchor tags. So on the header class, we need to make it display flex and justify content to space between, and align items to center, and padding will be 0 for top and bottom and 3 rem for left and right. Alright, so now it is looking pretty good. And now let's style the sign in button, but I'm gonna create a new file for that because the sign in button style will be used on other buttons. So I'm gonna create a file, global.css, and I need to link that up. Global. And now let's go to global.css. First of all, I'm gonna create a CSS variable. And if you don't know what CSS variable is, I have written an entire blog about it on my website, qscoding.space. The link will be on the description. So inside the root, I'm gonna create a variable. I will call it --primary -color, and the color will be hex value E50914. And now let's select the primary button class, this one. Let's add a background color, which will be this CSS variable var --primary color. Line height will be normal. Padding will be 0.7 rem for top and bottom, and 1.7 rem for left and right. Then font weight will be 700. Then font size will be 1.5 rem. Border radius will be 0.3 rem. Text transform will be capitalized. Alright, so our header is looking pretty good. So now let's work on the banner section, this image. Then we're gonna add the content. The image is full screen. So let's go to index.html file. And after the header, I'm gonna add a section tag with a class of banner section. And inside the section, I will add an image tag with the class of banner. Source will be ./media/banner.jpg. And then I will add an empty div element with the class of banner overlay. So let's style them. I will create another file. I will call it banner.css. And I will close these files for now. And inside the index.html, I'm gonna add the banner.css file. So let's select the banner section. Let's make it position relative. And height will be 100 view width, not width, height. And let's select the banner. It will be position absolute. Top will be 0. Left will be 0. Width will be 100%. Then height will be 100%. Then object fit will be cover. Object position will be center. And z index will be 5. And now we need to add a black overlay. So let's select the banner overlay. It will be position absolute. Actually, the properties are going to be same. And the overlay will be a gradient, so I'm gonna paste the value here. And now let's make z index to 10. Alright, so the overlay is looking pretty good. Now let's go to index.html. Now we are going to add this content section. So inside the banner section, I'm gonna add a new div element with a class of banner content. First, it will have a h1 with a class of banner title. And I will copy this text. And now I will add a h2 with a class of banner subtitle. Again, I will copy this text. Then I'm gonna add a h4 with a class of form, not h3, h4. And the class will be form CTA. I'll copy this. And actually later I will add the form. So let's style this h tags. So inside the banner.css, let's first select the banner content class. I will copy this class name. Position will be absolute. Then top will be 50%. Then left will be 50%. To move it to the center. Actually, we don't see that. Let's add a z index of 15. Alright, so now we can see that text, but it is not at the center. So we have to add a transform property with translate, and the value will be negative 50% and negative 50%. Let's add width to 100%, but max width will be 600 pixels. Now let's make text align center and padding of 0 rem for top and bottom and 5 rem for left and right. Now let's select the banner title. Font size will be 4 rem and font weight will be 700. Now let's select the subtitle. I'll copy this and it will be subtitle. Font size will be 2.6 rem. Font weight will be 400. Then I will add some margin. 2 rem for top and bottom, 0 rem for left and right. Alright, so it is looking pretty good. Now let's create the form. So after the form CTA, I will create a form with a class of membership form. I don't need the action. And inside the form, we will have a container for containing the input element. So I will call it membership input container. And inside the container, we will have a input with a class of membership input. Type will be email. And then you can pass a default value. I'm gonna pass one. So it will be ts@gmail.com. Doesn't really matter here. And now I want to add a label. For will be email. And it will also have a class. It will be membership placeholder. And the text will be email. And after the container, we will have another label tag. We don't need the for attribute. We will have a class of membership input message. It will be empty. Then we will have a button with the class of membership btn. And it will also have a primary btn class. Text will be get started. And the button type will be submit. So this is what we have for now. It is looking pretty ugly, so let's style them. I will create another file in the CSS directory. I will call it form.css. And let's bring the form.css file. So inside the form.css, let's first select the form element. I will copy the class name. Display will be grid. And position will be relative. Now display grid because on larger screen we want the input and the button on the same row. But on small screen sizes, they will be on different row. And now let's select the input container. It will be position relative, not absolute, relative. Then display will be flex. And flex wrap will be wrap. Now let's select the input element. I will copy this class name. And let's add flex basis to 100%. Now flex basis is similar to width. It is just more flexbox way of doing things. And now let's add padding of 10, not 10, 1 rem. Padding top will be 2.5 rem. And border will be none. And let's make font size to 1.6 rem. And now let's select the focus element on the membership input. And I want to remove the outline. And now let's select the membership btn. So I'm going to copy this class name. Now you can see that the button is stretched, but I don't want that. I want it to be at the center. So justify self will be center. And now let's add width of 100%, but max width will be 20 rem, not 29, 20 rem. And now let's add padding 1.5 rem for top and bottom, and 3 rem for left and right. And now let's style the input message. Again, flex basis will be 100%, not 1200, only 100. Then text align will be start. Actually, we will not see anything, so let's add some text for now. And let's add margin of 1 rem for top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Then let's add a color. It will be hex value FFA00A. Oops, not call row, it will be color. And now let's add font size of 1.5 rem, and content will be an empty string. So you can see our message is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna remove the text for now. The text will be added through JavaScript. Now let's select the placeholder, which will be this label. So I will copy this class. The position will be absolute, and actually I will remove the value for now. And let's add a color, and the color will be hex value HC HC HC. And I want to move this little email text at the center vertically, not horizontally. So top will be 50%, then left will be 1 rem, z index will be 10. And now let's move it to the center. Transform will be translate, not only translate, translate Y, and it will be -50%. Font size will be 1.4 rem. Now when the input will be on focus, we will add a class to the membership input container. If that class exists, we will move this placeholder to the top of the input box, and we will also reduce the font size. So I will copy this class name, and if it has an on focus property, we will select the membership placeholder. So we want to move this to the top by 1 rem, and then font size will be 1.2 rem. We will not see this effect for now. So now let's select the form CTA, and let's add a font size of 1.6 rem, and margin of 1 rem for top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Font weight will be 600. Okay, so our input form is looking pretty good. So now let's add the validation functionality. We need to use JavaScript for that. So let's go to the index.js file. We need to select many elements, so I'm gonna paste the code here. So we have selected the membership form, the membership input, then the input container, input placeholder, and the input message. I'm gonna create a couple of variables. Const on focus will be on focus, the class name actually, and it will be all capitalized. The const focus in, which will be string focus in, And now I'm going to create a function called validate email, which will take email as a parameter. And now I'm going to paste a regular expression. And don't expect me to explain the regular expression because I don't even understand it. So we need to call the test method, and I'm gonna pass the email. I'm gonna add two event listener to the membership input element. So membership input dot add event listener. I will add a focus in event, focus in, because I've stored that in a variable. I need to pass a callback function. I will call it handle focus. I will copy this line and I will add another event which will be called focus out. So let's create the handle focus function. Event will be the parameter. I'm gonna destructure some property from event, so const from event, and I will get the value from the target, so target value, and then I want to get the type, the event type actually. Basically with the handle focus function, we want to toggle the on focus class on the membership input container element. But if there is a value already exists, we don't want to add or remove anything. So if value exists, then we're gonna return true. Else we're gonna check if the event type is focus in or focus out. So if type is equals to focus in, then we're gonna add the class membership input container dot class list dot add, and we're gonna add the on focus method, class name, and then we're gonna return true. Else we're gonna remove the on focus class. Actually, I will copy this line, and instead of add, I will remove the class. And now if I click on the input, you can see that this placeholder jumps to the top and we can type anything. And if I remove that and shift my focus away, it goes back to the middle. And if I type something and I focus out, it stays at the top. Now let's add a submit event to the membership form. So membership form dot add event listener. Event name will be submit, and the callback function will be handle submit. Let's create the handle submit function, and event will be the parameter. Now if I click on this button, you can see that it refreshed the page, so we need to prevent that. So e.prevent default. And now if I click on this button, you can see it doesn't refresh. So let's get the value from the membership input, const value from membership input, and let's create a variable const valid email, and we need to call the validate email function, and we're gonna pass the value. The validate email function will return you true or false depending on the input value. So if valid email is true, then we're going to add some text to the membership input message element. So membership input message dot inner HTML, not inner HTML, inner text will be thank you for subscribing, and membership input value will be empty string. So membership input dot value will be empty string. And also we're going to remove the on focus class from the membership container. So I'm gonna copy this line and I'll paste it here. And else if the email is not valid, we're gonna add a new text to the input message. So membership input message dot inner text, press enter a valid email, So let's test it out. I will paste an invalid email and let's click on get started. You can see it says please enter a valid email. And we don't want this to be visible all the time. So I'm gonna add a set timeout. Timeout will be 300 seconds, not 300, 3000 millisecond. And after 3 seconds, the message will be just an empty string. I will copy this line. And it will be just an empty string. So again, I'm gonna pass some gibberish email. So get started, and you can see, please enter a valid email. And now it disappears. And let's pass a valid email. tadonjohn@gmail.com. And if I hit enter, you can see thank you for subscribing, and the input is empty. Now when the placeholder shifts to the top, it is too harsh, so we need to add a transition to it. So on the membership placeholder class, I'm gonna add a transition property. I want to animate all in 0.3 second, ease in and out. So let's click on this. You can see we have little animation. So our banner section is now ready. Now let's work on the story card sections. And also you might have noticed that we have these dividers. So we also have to add that. So in the index.html. So after the section, let's add a HR tag with a class of section divider. And now let's open up the global.css file. And now let's select the section divider class. And let's add a border, 6 pixels, solid, and hex value will be 222. It's not border, it's border. And if I scroll down, you can see on the bottom we have this divider. Now let's add the story card section. Our story card has two parts, left and the right part. The left part will contain some kind of text content, and on the right hand side it will contain some kind of image or video. So on the left hand side we have this one's title and a subtitle. So let's quickly create them. So in the index.html, after the section divider, to contain all of the story card, I'm gonna create a div with a class of story card container. And inside this container, I'm gonna add some section with a class of story card. And here it will have two elements, left and right. So it will have a class story card left. And I will copy this one. And it will have story card right. And after the section, we will have this HR tag. So this is the actual section structure. Okay, so we will have 4 of them. We will have 4 of these sections. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it 3 more times. So on the first story card left, we will have some text. So we will put a H1. And I'm just gonna copy the text from here. And then we will have a H2. I'll copy this text. So we have this for now. Now let's add markup for the right side. Now the right side, you can see that it is a video. Now this video and this TV frame is not the same thing. They are two different things. The TV box is an image and this is a video. We have to align it. I don't know why they didn't merge it in a single video, but whatever, we have this, so we're gonna position it with some absolute values. We're not going to use fluid value because if we use fluid values, it will break when we will change the screen size. Okay, so inside the story card right, I'm gonna create another element, actually a container, with a class of tb anime container. Then I'm gonna put an image tag for that tb box with a class of tb image. Source will be media / tb.png. Then after the image, we will add a video with a class of tb anime. Source will be media / tb animation.m4v. And I also want to add some attributes to the video tag. The video will autoplay, then it will be muted, and it will have a loop. So we have this for now. Let's style them. So I'll create another file in the CSS directory. I will call it story.css. I'll close this file and let's add the story CSS in the HTML. And inside the story.css, let's first select the story card. Let's first add padding of 5 rem for top and bottom and 5% for left and right. Then display will be grid because we want to split it out into 2 separate columns. But for now, it will have only 1 column. So let's add a grid row gap of 1 rem and max width will be 1400 pixels. To move it everything at the center, we're gonna add margin of 0 and auto. Now let's select the story card left. We want to make text align to center. Then let's select the H1 inside the story card left. And let's add font size of 3 rem and margin bottom of 1 rem. Now you might have noticed that the text is overflowing because of this image and the video. Text will not be fixed until we fix this image and video. So I'm gonna copy this line and it will be H2. Font size this time will be 1.8 rem. And font weight, I don't need margin bottom. Font weight will be 600. Alright, so now let's select the story card right. So story card right. We need to make it display grid. And we need to move it to the center. So place items will be center. This will make its children center horizontally and vertically. Now let's select the TB anime container, which will contain the image and the video. This one. I'll copy this class name. Now the values that I'm going to use for height width is totally absolute values, no fluid values. I've got these right values after testing out a lot. You can test it if you want, or you can use the exact values that I am using. So I want to set the width of 30 rem and height of 23.4 rem. And I need to make it position relative. And now let's select the TB image. I will copy the class name. I need to make it position absolute. Then top will be 0. And left will be 0. Then width will be 100%. And also height will be 100%. Alright, so the image is now small. Now let's select the TB anime. And also let's make it position absolute. And then top will be 0.8 rem. Then left will be 4 rem. Width will be 22.1 rem. And height will be 21 rem. Alright, so you can see the video is now aligned with the image, and if I shrink the screen size more, you can see it is still looking good. When we will make the website responsive, we will increase the size of the image and the video. But that's it for the first story card. Let's work on the second story card. Again, this image and this card is two different things. We have to make this card separately, and this girl's image and the mobile frame is a single image. So inside the index.html, let's go to the second story card. Again, let's add h1 and h2 in the left section. I will just copy this text. Then I will add a h2. So this is what we have for now. We don't have to style them because we have styled it already on the first story card. So now let's work on the right section. We'll have another container with a class of download container. Inside the download container, we will have an image. Source will be mobile.jpg. Then we will have another container with a class of download animation container. Now this container is actually for this card, this small card. So first it will have an image with a class of poster. Source will be media/box shot. Then it will have a text container. It will have a p tag with a class of title. Text will be Stranger Things, and then we will have another p tag with a class of downloading. And it will just have a text of downloading. I'll copy this. And it will have 3 dots at the end. And finally, we will add a GIF. So image. Source will be media/download icon GIF. Download icon GIF. And it will have a class of download GIF. Alright, so that's it. And this is what we have for now. So let's style them. Let's go to story.css. So let's first select that download container. I will copy the class name. I just need to make it position relative. Then I need to select the download container image, this one. I'll make width of 100% and height of 100%. Actually, I'll copy this. Now let's select the download animation container. I'll copy this class name. Let's make it display grid. And grid template columns. It will have 3 columns. So one column will be 4 rem for the image, and 1 FR, and 5 rem for the GIF. 5 rem. Now let's make width of 60% and height of 8 rem. Let's add padding of 1 rem and align items to center. And now let's add a border of 2 pixels solid. it will be gray color, so I will paste that here. So this will be the color, all white but opacity of 0.25. And let's add border radius of 1 rem. Then position absolute. I want to move it to center, so left will be 50%. And to really move it center, we need to use transform of translate x. Value will be negative 50%. Now let's move it to the top from the bottom side. 5%, not 55. And we need to add a background, not red, it will be black. Alright, so it is looking much better. So now we need to select the poster. I'll copy this class name. And I need to select the poster class. And let's make height of 90%. I'll copy this. And now I will select the download GIF. And height will be still 90%. And now we need to style this text. So I'll copy this. And now I will select the text container. And then I will select the title. And let's add font size of 1.5 rem. Font weight will be 600. And margin bottom will be 0.5 rem. And I will copy this. And now let's select the downloading text. I don't need font weight and margin bottom. Font size will be 1.2 rem. And color will be hex value of 0071 EB. Oops, it should not be $sign, it should be £. And I need to add some padding to the text container, so I will just copy this. And I don't need to select downloading. And I will remove this. I will add padding left of 2 rem. Alright, so the story card is looking pretty good. Now let's add this to text. This will not have any image. So let's go to index.html, and this is the third story card. And just because we don't have any right section, we don't need this element. So here again we will have an h1 and h2. So h1 will be this text, and h2, I'll copy this, and you can see it is looking pretty good. We don't have to style anything. So now let's work on the third section, which is this one. This is pretty simple. We just have to add an image. So inside the last story card, let's add h1 and h2. So let's copy this, and again for the h2. And for the story card right section, we need to add an image with the class of kids image. Source will be media/kids.png. And this is what we have for now. Let's style the image. So let's select kids image class. And let's just make it width of 100%, not 1000%, 100%. So we have successfully completed the story card section. Now let's work on the FAQ section. So in the FAQ section, each of this box you can see is a button. If I click on it, it expands another element which has this text. Alright, so let's add the markup. So go to index.html. I don't need the story.css file. So after the story card container, let's add a section with the class of FAQ. And inside the FAQ, we will have a title. So h2 title. Actually, it will be FAQ title. And the text will be frequently asked questions. Then we will have accoution list. Accoution is just these boxes that we can expand. So let's add a UL with the class of accoution list. And let's add an li with the class of accoution. And here we will have a button with the class of accoution question. And I'll put some lorem ipsum text. Then we will have a p tag with the class of accoution answer. And again, I will put some lorem ipsum text. So I will copy this one and create another copy of it. So let's create another file in the CSS directory. I will call it faq.css. And let's add it to the HTML. So this is what we have for now. So let's select the FAQ section. We need padding of 7 rem for top and bottom and 2 rem for left and right. Then max width of 900 pixels. Oops, 900 pixels. Then we want margin of 0 and auto to move it to the center. Then width of 80%. Now let's select the FAQ title. Let's make text align to center. And font size will be 2.5 rem. And line height of 1.8 rem. Sorry, not rem, just only 1.8. And now let's select the accoution list. I will just copy the class name. Let's remove the list style. Then margin on the top will be 1 rem. Then margin on the bottom will be 2 rem. Let's make display grid. And grid row gap. Grid row gap of 1 rem. And font size of 2 rem. So now let's select the accoution. Now here we just need to create 2 CSS variable. So first one will be accoution padding 1.8 rem and accoution right padding. I'll copy this one and it will be just right padding. So now let's select the accoution question. Let's add a background. Color will be a gray color, so 303030. And display will be block. And width will be 100%. Then text align will be left. Then let's add a padding, and it will be the CSS variable accoution padding. And I want to add a right padding because of this icon. So padding right will be var recursion right padding. And now let's add margin bottom of 1 pixel. Then font size will be inherit. And let's make position to relative. And cursor will be pointer. Alright, so our cursor is now pointer. And now we need to add this plus and minus icon. I need to use an after pseudo selector. I'll copy this class. And let's use the after pseudo selector. And let's add display grid. And actually before that, let's add a content. And the content will be just a plus sign. Then I'm gonna make it position absolute. Top will be 0. And I want to move it to the right, so right will be also 0. And I want to move it to the center, so I'm gonna add place items to center. Now height will be 100%. And width will be the right padding of the recursion. So var will be recursion right padding. And text align will be center. And font size will be 3 rem. It isn't at the center. There's a problem. Oops, the recursion right padding should not be 1.8 rem. It should be 6 rem. Alright, so it is fixed. But when we will click on the recursion, this plus icon should turn into minus icon. So if the recursion list element has an active class, then we will change this plus to minus. So if recursion has an active class, that means the recursion is open. Then I'm gonna copy this class. Then the content will be a minus sign. So we need to toggle the active class on the recursion, but we will do that in a minute. Let's select the recursion answer. I'll just copy this class name. Let's add a background color. And actually the background color will be the question color. Where is that? Here it is. And we will have a padding. Padding will be var, and the padding will be same as the question, so it will be recursion padding. And by default it will be invisible, so display will be none. So now let's add the toggle functionality. Let's open up the index.js. I just need to select the recursion question elements. So const recursion question elements. So document dot query select, actually query selector all, and the selector is recursion question. So this will be an array of elements, so we need to loop over them. So at the bottom I will loop over the recursion question elements. So recursion question elements. I'm gonna create a handler function. So const handler. It will have the event as parameter. Now when we will click on the question element, we need to get the actual parent, which is a list element, has a class of recursion. So let's get the parent. It will be e.target.parent element, and we want to toggle the active class on the parent element. So parent dot class list dot toggle. Oops, that's it, timeout toggle. And we want to toggle the active class. So let's add the event listener to the element. And the event listener is click. And let's pass the handler. And now let's click on this. It's not really working. Okay, so I have added a dot in the class name. There shouldn't be a dot. So now it should work. So now let's click on it. Alright, so you can see that the sign is changing, but we don't see the content because the content is display none. So I'll copy this line. And instead of equation question, it will be equation answer. If equation is active, then display will be block. Alright, so you can see the block. Let's toggle it. Alright. So our equation is working fine. And finally, we're going to add the footer. So let's go to the index.html. I will close these files. So after the FAQ section, I will again add the header, HR tag. So I'm gonna add a footer tag with a class of footer. I'm gonna add a contact link like this. Now here we have a list of link, but this link is not part of the list. So we're gonna have to add that outside of the list. So add an anchor tag with a class of footer link. And another class will be contact link. And the text will be questions, contact us. I'm gonna copy this and I'll paste it here. So now let's add a list of anchor tags. So I'm gonna create a container, footer link, container, and inside the link container we will have anchor tags with class of footer link. And you can see that there is bunch of link. I don't want to type them out. I will just paste the code here. So this will be the links, and our web page looks like this. So let's style them. I will create another file in the CSS directory. I will call it footer.css, and let's add that to our HTML. So let's go to footer.css. Let's select the footer class. Let's add padding of 8 rem, then 6 rem, and 4 rem. And now let's add width of 90%. Then margin to 0 and auto to move it to the center horizontally. Then max width will be 1000 pixels. Now let's select the footer link container. I will just copy this class name. And let's add display to grid. And the grid will have 2 columns per row. So grid template columns will be 1fr and 1fr. Then grid gap will be 2 rem. And now let's select the footer link. And font size will be 1.3 rem. And color will be a hex value. It will be 757575. And text transform will be capitalized. And now let's add a hover effect. So I'll copy this. Let's select the hover pseudo selector. On hover, we want text decoration to underline. And and you can see we have underlines. And now we just need some spacing on the upper link. So I'll copy this class name. And it also has a contact link class. Display will be inline block. And we want margin of 3 rem for top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Alright, so our footer is looking pretty good. So our web page is actually done for the small screen size. Now we need to make it responsive for larger screen sizes. So I'm gonna create a file. Actually, I will close this one for now. Let's create a file. On the CSS directory, I will call it responsive. And let's add it to the HTML. I will add a breakpoint for 600 pixels. Then I will add for 900 pixels. And finally, I will add for 1200 pixels. So let's add the first media query. Screen. And I'm gonna use min width because I'm using mobile first approach. So min width, if min width is 600 pixels, then I'm gonna increase the font size of this button, the membership btn, and font size will be 2 rem. I will increase the screen size. Alright, and now I'm going to increase the font size of this H1. So I need to select the story card left, and I need to select the H1. So let's change font size to 4 rem, and margin bottom to 2 rem. I will copy this line, and instead of H1 I will use H2, and I will delete the margin bottom, and the font size will be 2.2 rem. And now we need to change the size of this TB. So let's first select the TB anime container, which is where is that? Here it is, this one. So we need to change the width to 50 rem and height to 38 rem. And now we need to select this video, so which has a TB anime class. Top will be 3.5 rem. Left will be 6.6 rem. Then width will be 37 rem. And height will be 29.5 rem. We have a problem that you can see that the remote is blended with the video because of the Z index. So let's open up the story. I think I missed the Z index. Yep, I missed the Z index. So in the TB image class, TB box image, add a Z index of 10. This should fix the problem. Alright, so it is fixed now. I'll close this one. And now we need to select the FAQ title, this one. So it has a class of FAQ title. Let's change the font size to 3.5 rem. Okay, so font size is changed, and now we need to split this link container into 3 columns. So I'll just copy the class name, this one. And let's add grid template columns, and it will be repeat 3 1fr. And you can see we have 3 columns per row. And finally, we just need to change the font size of the link. So I will just copy this class name. And let's change font size to 1.5 rem. Alright, so our web page is looking good at this breakpoint. Now let's add a breakpoint for 900 pixels. So I'll copy this line. And instead of 600 pixels, it will be 1200 pixels. We need to change the banner title, this one, this text font size. So let's select banner title. And let's add font size to 5 rem. And obviously I have to increase the screen size. Alright, so now it is more than 900 pixels. And we need to select the subtitle too. I will copy this. So this will be subtitle. And this time font size will be 3 rem. And now we need to put this input element and the button in a same row. So let's select the membership form. And let's add grid template columns of 70% and 1 FR. Oops, not 79, 70%. Actually, I made a big mistake. It should not be 1200, it should be 900. I don't know why I did that. So sorry, guys. You can see it is still not in one row. The reason is our label tag. So let me show you. Where is the form? So between the input, we have a label. So this label is actually creating the problem. We need to move this label to the different row. So let's select the label class name, which is membership input message. And we need to pass grid row. And we want that element to start from row 2. The input is looking weird. It is much big in height. I think I've messed up in the banner styles. So let's open up the banner.css file. And yes, in the banner content, I have added max width to 600 pixels. Actually, it will be 900 pixels. Alright, so you can see that it is looking much better than before. And now we need to select the button because you can see we have some spacing between the input and the button. Let's select the membership button. I will just copy this class name. So justify self to start. Okay, so now we need to work on this story card. We need to split the story card into 2 columns. So let's select the story card. Not left, only story card. Let's add grid template columns of 1 FR and 1 FR. And align items to center. And we need to align this text to the left side. So story card left will be text align, not center, left. Alright, so it is looking pretty good. Now on the accursion, we have to increase the font size. So accursion list, and let's change the font size to 3 rem. Alright, so our web page is looking pretty good. Now we need to work on the last breakpoint and we will be good to go. So I will move this tab to the separate window. Basically, for the last breakpoint, we just need to increase the font size of the H1 and the H2. So let's add the media query. I will just copy the media query. And this time it will be 1200 pixels. So I'm just gonna copy this piece of code. Basically, we don't need margin bottom, and we need to change the font size from 4 rem to 5 rem. And this font will be from 2.2 rem to 2.5 rem. And you can see our web page is looking pretty good, and our Netflix landing page clone is done. So this was a pretty long video. If you are still watching it, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. If the video has been helpful for you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more of these project-based videos. I have a playlist of landing page clone. I will put the link on the description so you can check them out. So if you have any kind of question, please comment down below. If you want to suggest me any kind of topic or any kind of project, please let me know in the comment section. You can reach out to me as ThatOnJohn on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.